Confusion out there. Has been confusion out there. Okay? So we're going to spend a little time with that. I'm not going to spend too much time with this. You've seen this in your educational 101 classes. It is what it is. This is more important. Grading requires professional judgment, not number crunching. Do not let the tail wag the dog related to number crunching. Do be caught with this mathematical thing that teachers get caught up in. That I got all my grades, they're all in the grade book, they're all in the computer, they're all in Skyward. I hit the button, it averages them. By God, that's what they get. 1,000 points, kid gets 700. Well, it's got to be C. C minus, 70%, right? Nope, doesn't work that way. So if you've been taught that, you have to unlearn that, because that's not how we do things here. It's just not simply an exercise where it's mathematical, okay? You know why? Two things. First of all, it's not consistent with what PLCs are about in terms of learning theory. Okay? You've heard me talk about this in the past. You know that little thing about letting evidence of new achievement replace old? How's that one work out? If we're just going to use mathematics. Okay, that doesn't work out very well then. The other thing is, and you know this for sure, as former students, those 1,000 points I referenced, it kind of works, that mathematical philosophy kind of works if every last point had equal value. Everything was the same, okay? But you and I both know that that assessment you gave today or last week may be different in overall importance as it related to reaching a learning target than something else. Okay? It requires professional judgment. Now, that can be a little uncomfortable at times. Because you know why a lot of times teachers rely on just that strict mathematical thing? It's because it's easy. Well, John, here's the grade book. This is what you did. You can average it just as well as I can. Okay? No professional judgment there. Okay? And it's easy for the parents too, right? Easy for the parents. Well, Mr. Smith, this is what he gets. You can see it here for yourself. Okay? Okay. So right off the bat, we got some issues. Let's get them all up there. All right. One of the things that you probably have heard us talk about, and I'm sure in your, in the PLC workshop, you had some information regarding this. The issue of summative assessments and formative assessments, right? We got that stuff. Formative assessments for learning, summative assessments of learning. Okay, let's clear up something right away. Formative assessments. Somebody give me a synonym for formative assessment. What is it really? Formative assessment. Yep.
Pretest.
Could be, certainly. What else? Ongoing, sure. If I had to give you one that could be used interchangeably with formative assessments, it would be practice. Practice. Let me clear up something else. We don't grade practice. We assess. Big difference. Big difference. We assess everything that goes on in the classroom. I'm assessing right now. So eye contact, people with me or not, that type of stuff. Assessing all the time. Okay? We don't grade practice. Okay? I think Peg handed out something earlier in the year that she likened it to, practice Denny Gato's having right now out there in a football field. Okay? You know what? When you go out there right now, there's a scoreboard out there. They use it for JV games, freshman games. You know what? The scoreboard's not on. Okay? Now, tomorrow night, the summative assessment will take place. They're going to keep score. Right? All right. We don't grade formative assessments. We assess them. And for you, the teacher, and for some of the veteran staff members who've been here or who have been here all 3 weeks, who have perhaps taught in other school districts, this might be likened to an old concept that used to be taught, and I don't know if it still is, called monitoring and adjusting. Okay? In the classroom, you may have heard that one. I'm going to monitor what's going on. Okay? And I'm going to adjust. Based upon what I'm seeing in those formative assessments, that's going to tell me how I'm going to teach. Okay? Based upon those results. So I'm assessing everything, but I'm only grading the summatives. All right. Now, a lot of times people ask, well, what's the difference between them? I mean, if you have two assessments, let's just call them tests or quizzes right now, and they're side by side. Okay, which one is formative and which one is summative? They look identical. They look identical, right? They could be identical, right? The difference is how they're being used. How they're being used. Somebody mentioned the pretest. We're going to talk about that. That's a great strategy. It's a great strategy, okay? It's going to give me a lot of information that I need as a teacher. So formative assessments, a lot of times teachers will ask, well, how many should I have, Bruce? I know we have a wide variety of people in here. I mean, we have kindergarten teachers all the way up to AP chemistry instructors here. I get it. In general, I think the district has talked about having in a quarter 8 to 10 to 12 summative assessments. Okay? When you think about it from just kind of a practical perspective, 36 weeks in a school year, of which we have about 34 actual instructional weeks, and when we lose days for various things. 4 quarters, kind of start doing the math here on the number of units you can teach. I was a U.S. history teacher, AP instructor, and we would probably average 2-week units, 1-week units. It varies, 10-day units, those types of things. Always would have a summative, maybe 2, midpoint summative. Always have formatives, 4 or 5 formative assessments. Okay? That's kind of a ballpark. Now, when we think about assessments, again, some of these things are things that you've heard about before, but let me refer down more toward the bottom 2, the clear rubrics and criteria and direct student involvement. If you do those types of things as a part of our assessment process, basically what we're going to be doing when we deal with this issue is there are no secrets here. There are no secrets when I'm dealing with formative or summative assessments. When I'm talking about grading, what I'm going to be doing with the kids I'm telling them exactly what the expectation is. What learning targets we're going to get to. Now, obviously, if you're a kindergarten teacher versus an AP instructor, you're going to use a little different language. You're going to use a little different language with them, aren't you? No question about that. Okay? But sometimes, particularly at the secondary level, it is very explicit. Guys, in this particular unit, there are going to be 2 summative assessments. There are going to be 5 formative assessments. That's what we're going to be all about. Okay? When I talked about the rubrics, we're going to provide the students with an example of what is the criteria that we're going to assess their work. Okay, we're going to give them that yardstick. It could be something as simple as, and I see elementary teachers doing this all the time, okay? Well, you can check your own work and your partner's work if you just go back to the back table, and the answer keys are there. And our rubric for how we expect this to be done are back there, and you can check your own. Okay? But that rubric establishing what is your criteria, so when we talk about the fact that we're going to be doing formative assessments or summative assessments, we know with summative assessments, we're going to have an expectation. We're going to have a standard to which they have to hit. Okay? The summative is going to be stated such like, guys, there are going to be 2 summative assessments. And you know what our criteria is. Particularly for this particular unit, it's going to be 80%. 80%. If you're not hitting 80%, we're going to have to do it again. All right? So you're hitting with the students very clearly, right up front, this is what we're going to do. This is the expectation. These are the number of assessments I'm going to have. And this is how you're going to be judged. Okay?